poem by the famous South African writer, poet and naturalist Eugene Neelan Marais. On the 9th of January 1871, Catharina Marais, wife to Jan Marais, gave birth to Eugene, their 13th child. He was schooled in the Transvaal Republic, the Free State, and finished his education at the Paarl Public School in the Cape. Subsequently, he went to work for a law firm, but found the work boring and turned his mind to journalism, where at the tender age of 19 was promoted to editor of the Land and Volk newspaper in Pretoria, which he bought soon after. He also wrote articles for other newspapers. Being liberal-minded, he used the newspaper to openly oppose the conservative government of President Paul Kruger. At a young age, probably due to the stresses of his job, he turned to the comfort and companionship of morphine. This addiction would turn into a protracted battle that would rule and shape his life and would ultimately lead to his death 40 years later. On a warm March day in 1893, at his parents' golden wedding anniversary, he met his love, Aletta, granddaughter to General Christiaan Beyers, who would later command the Waterberg forces against the British in the Second Anglo-Boer War. This would be Marais' early link to the Waterberg. At the age of 22, Eugene and Aletta married, but a year later, Aletta would die. Marais would never remarry. After studying law in England, he returned to Pretoria shortly after the war and was admitted to the bar. He was no longer interested in journalism and appointed Gustav Preller as editor of the Land and Volk newspaper, a person who would become intricately entwined in Marais' life. After writing his book, The Road to Waterberg, and other essays, Marais moved to the farm Doornfontein in the Waterberg in 1907, and here began his career as a naturalist. He was continually plagued by his addiction and went in and out of periods of suffering and reprieve, but he continued to write. By the end of 1918, he had finished the draft of his well-known book, The Soul of the Ape. By 1926, he had abandoned his shares in 2 law firms that he had started and had a couple of failed relationships. For the rest of his life, Marais fought the demon of addiction, but the demon would ultimately be the victor when Marais, in a state of despair, shot himself on the farm of his friend Gustav Preller, Pelendaba. He was 65 years old. The Waterberg occupies a central position on the Great African Tectonic Plate, and these ancient formations were formed approximately 1.8 billion years ago. Due to its tenacity, the Waterberg has survived through extreme heat and periods of cold that have alternated during the forming of the Earth as we know it today. It was formed not by violent volcanic eruptions and massive upheavals like the Andes, Himalayas and Rockies, but by a gentle formation process. Because of subterranean forces, it was subsequently shaped and molded, and as the sedimentary deposits around it were eroded away, the Waterberg was left standing in majestic splendor on the plains that surround it. The small town of Vaalwater is the only town within the Waterberg. The others all stand on the periphery of this 45,000 square kilometer natural wonderland.
I had heard about a man who had done something quite remarkable in the township area of Lesseding, a residential area adjacent to the town, so I decided to go and meet him and see what he was up to.
I'm standing here with Johannes Tau, Tau means lion in Sesotho, and he has created something absolutely amazing.
Joe lives in this house. It is directly across the road from what used to be a vacant piece of municipal land where people came and disposed of their rubbish. I asked Joe what the municipality had done about the problem.
Because municipality told us they tried and tried. People just keep on putting the rubble.
He took matters into his own hands.
So after we clear the place, we put a play area for kids and we put a bench for adults. Then we figured, why don't we make it a bit of a chesenyam so that you can order food while waiting for your kids. We don't want the kids to go and play outside. That's when we came with the trailers. We put all the things that we need to sell for kids. As you can look at it right now, it's divided in 3 places. It's a dining area. Normally we use it for VIPs and all that. And it's a picnic area. This is where we are. And another way, because there's no funding, we needed a system so that it can look after itself.
From what was once a vacant municipal piece of land that people used as an illegal dumping site, Joe has created a playground where kids have somewhere clean and safe to play. He has planted grass, put in gardens with fountains and works of art. He has brought in 2 food trailers and established a restaurant where he sells cheesenyama, pizza, burgers, salad and soft drinks. Not to mention his now famous and extremely popular Delish Special slush puppy. He built ablution facilities with running water. He erected a stage where entertainers can come on the weekends and entertain the visitors. He made sure that there were adequate hand wash stations. He established a VIP dining area under the shade. He recently added a delivery bike and delivers food to your doorstep. Thanks to the vision and tenacity of Joe, 12 people now have permanent jobs in an area where 80% are unemployed. I left Delish Park with a light heart and renewed optimism about South Africa. My meeting with Joe Tau had enriched my life because when you are around people like Joe, you cannot help but be affected by his can-do attitude towards improving things and making a difference. We need to find more people like Joe. But for now, I'm on my way to the farm 24 Rivers, a farm that has been in the same family for more than a century, and I'm extremely excited to see it.
Everything that you've seen at Delish Park has been funded by Joe, and he has plans to create more parks like this one. Not only do they serve the communities and enhance the areas, but they create much needed jobs. Joe also has plans to build a swimming pool next to the park so that kids can learn how to swim and compete in competitions with other schools. Of course, all of this does need funding, so if you feel that this may be something that you'd like to get involved with, I've left Joe's contacts in the description. My aim when I set out on this journey was to find stories like Joe's and share them with the rest of the world.